Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone. A couple weeks ago I went to the Chantilly show in Chantilly, Virginia, Northern Virginia in the DC area. It's the largest show that's, close to where I travel to when I visit the States. So it's sort of my hometown show, if you will. I try to go every time when I can. It's 3 times a year. It's always a great show. This one was no exception. So I'm just going to run through some images from the show, go over some of the people that I met, and then spend most of the video talking about the purchases that I made. So here's just some video from the show floor, and the show is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and this was taken on Friday. Saturday is by far the busiest day, so this here you're looking at is Friday, and my experience was that dealers were a little more reasonable with price than they've been in recent years. Some dealers are still way too high, but the crazy high prices were mostly not there. And you can see people already starting to wheel and deal, and I would call the show turnout overall to be, it was a healthy turnout. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't bad, it was healthy, and plenty of kids. There were people walking around selling, plenty of people buying. Overall, I think most dealers I talked to were more or less happy with the show results. And here's a little more footage. This was taken on Saturday, which is the busiest day. And you can see the crowds here are pretty big. At times it was kind of tough to walk through the aisle. That's always the case on Saturdays, just so many people, and other times there's so many people in front of a booth you can't really get to that specific booth, but these are problems that are easy to navigate. But Saturday is the busiest day because there are so many big name signers on Saturday, so a lot of people come just to kind of get autographs, and then while they're there they walk around the show. So a really nice thing about Chantilly is it's a really nice mix of vintage and modern. It really has both, and a good amount of both. I've been to shows that's essentially all modern, I've been to shows that's essentially all vintage, and this really has a nice mix. You can sort of a little bit for everybody, and there's also some sort of memorabilia dealers, although for the most part it's mainly focused on cards. A lot of the big name companies from around the hobby are set up there. I think SGC was the only major grading company taking in-person submissions. But on to what has become one of my favorite aspects of these shows, and that is getting to meet all of you. I was set up at the Huggins and Scott booth for much of the show, but I was walking around a lot, and just a lot of people came up and said hello. And I did give away the 10 Brock Purdy cards, as I promised I was going to in a recent video. I actually didn't remember to do this when I first got there on Friday. I sort of only remembered late in the day Friday. So my apologies to anyone who came up to me early in the day Friday and did not get themselves a free Brock Purdy card, but I did ultimately give away the 10 as promised. A lot of people came up to sell me collections of all shapes and sizes. A lot of people just came up to say hi or whatever, and I always love all of that. This here is Tony. We go way back at this point. He's a dealer who sets up right next to Huggins and Scott. He's got really cool mystery packs. Sets up there with his son, and bought a nice collection from him, which I'll showcase at the end here. This is my man Ziggy, who, for those who don't know, he's got a great YouTube channel. I'll include a link to it in the description below. Always great to meet up with Ziggy, and he sold me a nice card, which I'll talk about at the end as well. I got my 3rd ever autograph request, and if you ever want to make my day, come up and ask for an autograph. And if you ever want to really make my day, ask for an autograph on a Cal Ripken Beckett. That was super cool. Met up with Cardboard Viv, who also has a YouTube channel. I'll include a link to that in the description below as well. 3 generations of collectors, and we think we may have met up some 30 years ago when I was selling cards on the side of the road. He sort of remembers that image, or it looks familiar to him, and he remembers buying a card there, and the timing and the location sort of lines up, so it's very possible that we go 30 years back here at this point. All right, let's go through some of the purchases I made at the show. A lot of these were from you all just coming up to me. Others were from dealers. I'll just kind of go through them one by one. These aren't all of them, but these are some of them. Somebody came up to the Huggins and Scott booth, had a whole bunch of cards to sell. I picked out these 4 of interest, and I paid $2 grand for the 4 cards here. The Mahomes is worth about $2 grand on its own. The Prescott and the Daniel Jones are about $200 each, and the Steph Curry is about $100. So there's about $2,500 in value. I paid $2 grand. I'm paying 80%, so there's not going to be a whole lot of
profit here. And normally I would not pay 80% for this type of stuff, but I do know somebody who will buy the Mahomes at close to market value. So I figured I could just flip that one to him and try to squeak out a small profit out of the other 3.
This collection was from a dealer. It's actually one of their showcases. They had clearly done really well out of the showcase. It was a bunch of low-grade vintage. And they clearly sold a lot out of it over the course of the show. But so I went up to them on the last day and said, hey, I'll buy out the rest of your showcase, the stuff that hasn't sold, at 50% of your sticker price for everything. And he took a look at it and he said, sure, that's fine, assuming you can pull out 1 card. He pulled out a mantle card he didn't want to include in the deal, but yeah, agreed to the rest. Sold me everything left in the showcase for 50% of the sticker price. I can't remember the total, something like $300 to $400, but it was every card in this photo here. And yeah, this is a deal, again, not going to be a killer deal, but I'll make a profit here. And this is, right up my alley. My sort of bread and butter is vintage like this. This is the card that Ziggy sold me. It's a Julio Rodriguez Topps Chrome Refractor Rookie Auto, and he gave me a really good price on it. He sold it to me for $300. And the last sale of a raw copy of this card did just over $600. That was in an eBay auction. Now this one does have a ding in the left corner, sort of just above the corner on the left edge is a ding that's actually quite a bit. It's worse than what you see there in the photo. So that'll definitely have an impact, but I still think, $300 was a very generous price for him to sell it to me for. Bought this collection from another dealer. This was just sort of interesting, and they had it priced really well, and I don't know. I wasn't sure what the breakup value here would be, but it seemed like it had to be decent. There were, I think it was 32 cards. They're all Boston Red Sox autographs and jerseys, and all from the sort of the early to mid 2000s decade. And a lot of big names. I mean, Jim Rice auto, a few Fred Lynn autos. You got a couple of Carl Yastrzemski jerseys. There's even a Ted Williams jersey in the upper right, and a bunch of other Hall of Famers, some David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez, that sort of thing. I paid something like $250 for the lot, which broke down to well under $10 a card. I have no idea if the breakup value here was really good or not, but my sense is that it probably is. Here's a few more cards that people walked up to the booth that I ended up buying. A Dickerson rookie, a George Brett rookie, William McCovey rookie, Steve Largent rookie, Barry Sanders, 89 score rookie, a Tom Brady Skybox Dominion Extra, that's sort of a semi-rare parallel, PSA 9, and a Roberto Clemente 60 Topps PSA 5. Bought these 3 cards from one seller, paid $100 for the 3 cards. They're in sort of low to mid-grade, but nice stuff. 65 Clemente, 72 Clemente, and a Ricky Henderson rookie. I bought this card, which is not really the type of card I tend to buy, but 2020 Topps Chrome. It's a gold refractor. It's numbered out of 50. It's a rookie. It's a PSA 10. It sort of checks all the boxes as a in my opinion, a decent short-term investment card. And Bichette, I think he's been putting up pretty good numbers. Is a little under the radar, so I thought this might be a good card to buy and hold on to for a little while. It was part of a bigger collection that I bought, so I paid somewhere around $450 or something like that for maybe $500. I think the last comp did just over $6 or so, something like that. A couple more 80s baseball rookies, a Jeter Topps Gold, another Tom Brady rookie, Pacific. The stuff here was all, the top 2 rows were all from a dealer in a $3 box, which is a great deal. They had actually had it in a $5 box all show, but on the last day on Sunday, discounted that box to $3. And I mean, a lot of nice deals for just $3 a card. The bottom 5 cards were not $3 each, but picked those up as well. Bought a fun collection from a viewer, and this is a pretty large collection. He brought sort of a large box worth of stuff, and it was a bunch of goodies and sort of a fun collection, mishmash of a lot of different stuff. Some sort of semi-high grade vintage, as you can see here. A lot of interesting modern stuff. A lot of it I wasn't overly familiar with, but there's like a Jordan Alvarez rookie auto from Topps Now on the left, some Aaron Judge rookies in the upper left, cheaper Aaron Judge rookies, but some autos and jerseys and other goodies, and some more vintage and some key rookie cards, etc. here. Some nice graded stuff, a lot of SGC vintage, as you can see here. Some Whitey Fords, there's a mantle in the upper left, SGC 5, a Carl Hubble 1940 play ball, SGC 4, and some other type stuff. These 2 cards were included. I didn't think much of them when I first saw them, but they're actually quite rare. So they're 2018 Topps Minis, and usually Minis are worth less than the base, so I didn't think much of it. But the Ohtani is actually quite rare, and so it was sort of a tough one to ballpark the value at. But spent a few $1,000s with him, and I thought I got a picture with him, but I guess I forgot. But a very cool guy. And here was a collection I bought from Tony, who, as I mentioned, was the dealer set up right next to the Huggins and Scott booth. And I bought this on the last day, on Sunday. And again, that happens. I buy a lot of the stuff on the last day, as dealers are all often willing to move stuff a little cheaper on the last day. I paid 75% of comps for this, which again is not going to leave a whole lot of room for profit when you factor in seller fees. But it's all key names from the 50s and 60s. You got Mantles, Mays, Aarons, and stuff like that. So there's really no concern that I'm going to lose money, and this stuff should move fairly quickly. And yeah, there should be a little bit of profit there for me. And then my friend Brian, who works at Huggins and Scott, actually did a video on him and his Mike Trout second-year Topps Chrome collection maybe 2 years ago or so. He has a bunch of them left over, and he sold me a few of them. You see an orange refractor at the bottom, silver, and a purple. And there's actually a gold refractor in the middle. That's numbered out of 50. Black refractor on the right's out of 100. And the sepia refractor on the left is out of 75. And those are my most notable purchases, although I made a bunch of others, although the rest of them are sort of bulk stuff. And I like bulk stuff. It means I get to play with cards more. But thank you, everyone, for watching. That's sort of it for the recap of the Chantilly card show. A great show, as always. Hope you enjoyed, and see you all again real soon. Thanks, everyone.